Welcome everyone. Sir Guano MoldyCheese welcoming you to another video. Today's video is going to be a little different. I usually do unedited raw footage. Well, not completely unedited, but very little editing. But for today's video, our adventure will take us to Minnehaha Falls. And I've created a highly edited video for you to enjoy. So sit back, relax, and come on an adventure with me to Minnehaha Falls. Before you see Minnehaha Falls, you hear it. A low, constant roar. Water cutting through limestone, echoing through trees that have stood here longer than the city around them. It doesn't matter how many times you've been here, the sound stops you every time. Today, I am telling the story of Minnehaha Falls, not just what it is, but what it's meant to generations of people who have stood right here listening. Minnehaha Falls drops about 53 feet into a narrow gorge carved by water and time. It is fed by Minnehaha Creek, which winds its way from Lake Minnetonka before finally meeting the Mississippi River. This waterfall is not the biggest in the country. It is not the loudest, but it might be one of the most beloved. And that love comes from something deeper than scenery. The name Minnehaha comes from the Dakota language. Contrary to a common myth, it does not mean laughing water. Minne means water. Haha refers to a waterfall. So Minnehaha means exactly what it is, waterfall. For the Dakota people, this area was part of a living landscape, used for travel, food, ceremony, and storytelling. The creek and the river were not just features, they were relatives. When we talk about Minnehaha Falls, we are talking about a place that mattered long before it became a park. In the early 1800s, this land existed outside the idea of Minneapolis entirely. There were no roads, no railways, no picnic tables, just water, forest, and limestone. As settlers arrived and indigenous people were forcibly displaced, Minnehaha Falls became something else, a destination. Artists painted it, travelers wrote about it. People came not to work, but to feel something. In 1855, poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow published The Song of Hiawatha. This poem had little to do with real Dakota culture, but it captured the American imagination. Suddenly, Minnehaha Falls became famous. Tourists arrived by horse, carriage, and eventually streetcar. Hotels popped up nearby. Postcards were printed by the thousands. The falls became romanticized, a symbol of a wild, poetic America that people feared was disappearing. By the late 1800s, Minneapolis leaders began to worry. If they didn't protect Minnehaha Falls, it would be developed, damaged, or lost entirely. In 1889, Minnehaha Falls became part of Minneapolis's growing park system, one of the earliest examples of intentional urban conservation. Paths were built, bridges added, but the falls remained the star. In winter, Minnehaha Falls transforms. The water freezes into towering columns of ice. The gorge becomes quiet, and suddenly the falls feel ancient again. Over the decades, floods, droughts, and climate shifts have changed how often the falls flow and how powerfully. Some summers, the water barely trickles. Others, it roars. The falls remind us that nature doesn't follow a schedule. Today, millions of people visit Minnehaha Falls every year. Families, cyclists, couples, solo walkers. Some come for photos, others for quiet. Some don't even know the history. They just know it feels important. And maybe that is enough. Because places like this don't survive just because they're protected. They survive because people keep returning. Standing here today, you can feel time stacking up. Indigenous history, poetry and myth, parks and preservation, picnics, protests, first dates, and farewells, all carried by the water. Minnehaha Falls doesn't ask anything from us. It just keeps flowing, cutting through stone, reshaping the land, reminding us that cities rise and fade, but water remembers. If you ever forget how old this place is, just listen. this kind of slow, local history, consider subscribing to my channel. And if Minnehaha Falls means something to you, please share your story in the comments. Thanks for watching. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. It was a lot of work, but I enjoyed it, and I'm glad I was able to bring you a little bit about Minnehaha Falls. As always, please like, follow, subscribe, and share with your friends. And until next time, look to the future, but remember the past. Peace.